Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. The impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte at the House of Representatives and the arrest and detention of her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, at The Hague have clearly delineated those loyal to their political clan. The latest surveys show the Dutertes and their political allies apparently getting public sympathy through the rise in their ratings. With less than 2 months to go before the elections, changes in alliances may be expected as candidates hope to translate their political leanings into actual votes. Let's get on point with the President and CEO of Agents International, Alan Herman, here in the studio. And later we will be joined by San Beda University's Dean of Graduate School of Law, Father Ranhilio Aquino, who will be joining us via Zoom. Alan, welcome to the show.
Hi,
it's good
Pinky.
to see you again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here always, and good evening to our viewers.
Good evening, everyone. Alan, first, your reaction on the arrest, the detention of the former president, and the various reactions for and against what happened last Friday.
Well, like every Filipino, I'm sure, I was riveted. My goodness. It was like telenovela unfolding before our eyes, right? But what really struck me about the whole turn of events is the pace and the rapidity of it all. When he left, I mean, as early as the time he went to Hong Kong with VP Inday Sara, there were already talks that, oh, you know, there's some inside information. They're probably going to sic the ICC on the former president. And then he came home. So that was the first, curveball, so to speak, that happened. And then when he got home, that was when the whole drama unfolded. It unfolded very quickly. The pace was incredible. Within 24 hours, he was back on a plane on the way to The Hague. My reaction was, frankly, I was stunned.
Yeah.
I was stunned that they actually pulled it off with the efficiency, with the clinical coldness, as it were, that they did. It was stunning.
What about the various reactions you've been watching, hearing, and getting from social media, even your friends or people that you know?
I'm going to use a big word now. See, it's a cornucopia of, it's a whole salad, right? A whole salad of emotions and approaches and reactions. My goodness, you had everything from sympathy plays to the fake news.
Yeah.
My goodness, you had within hours there were these mock-up art cards of all of these fictional characters, Harvey Specter, and all of these superheroes allegedly defending the former president, weighing in on the ICC. Again, the speed is unprecedented.
Also.
The speed, even of the reaction, is unprecedented.
And the speed of what? A misinformation or disinformation?
Both, actually, misinformation and disinformation. As early as when he landed, there were talks of, oh, the SC has granted a TRO.
Right.
You saw that, I'm sure, right? In fact, one mainstream media channel actually picked it up because of that space-time limbo where the news was...
We're talking about maybe 12 to 14 hours in between, from the time the former president arrived at maybe 9:30 to
Correct.
the time he was flown out at about past 11. So
it was a soup, right? It was a
14 hours.
limbo. Put what ingredient you can into that
And
soup.
you know what? Why it was hard, and maybe there was a lot of also mis and disinformation, was because there was really nothing coming from the government.
Correct.
The official statement really came out when the president showed up together with DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla.
The late night,
Right.
well, we wouldn't even call it a press con because, boy, that was really short.
Yeah.
That was maybe less than, I would say that was less than 12-minute speech.
Well, clearly they waited
president.
until the former president was airborne.
And outside of the Philippine territory. Outside, he made sure to say that.
Yeah.
That was, in fact, one of his first pronouncements. He is now outside the Philippine area of responsibility. Parang bagyo, di ba, Pinky? Yung bagyo, lumipas na. So, for me, that's actually a good analogy. Ang bilis nilang napalipas yung bagyo.
But do you think the pace by which it was done was favorable for not just government, in the eyes of the public, or do you think the pace was too fast that it carried so much maybe empathy and sympathy for the former president?
Well, I love the way you phrased the question. So we're taking it from two lenses. So from the lens of the government, absolutely it favored them to do it that quickly. In fact, when he landed and when Chief Torre went, and there was that whole cordoning off and preparing for the arrest, the one thing I said to my fellow pundits in our various GCs, I actually said they'd better get him out of here within 24 hours, otherwise gulo. Kakagulo yan. He will be a martyr. He will be sainted, essentially. Imagine if he had not been able to fly out. If they had detained him, oh my goodness, in Villamor, can you imagine what that would have been like? The throngs of people that would have gone there if they detained him in the PNP Custodial Center. Same thing.
Which is exactly where some of the journalists went.
Exactly.
To cover it because they thought.
One step ahead, diba? They were thinking ahead. So it absolutely benefited them in communications. It's always out of sight, out of mind.
But maybe amongst your group, your social group, the people you know, what was the more prevalent reaction? Good job government or bad job government?
Well, the first error in your assumption is you assume that I have friends. I actually have none, but I'm joking, of course. But to the people I do converse with, to again, my various Viber GCs, the reaction was great job government, not just
so
good
positive.
job. Great job government. And you know, you can interpret it in one way or the other. You can say it's not so much, it doesn't necessarily mean it's an anti-Duterte sentiment, but it's an anti-gulo sentiment. It's an anti-disruption sentiment. Because again, if they had prolonged that, that would have opened it up. That would have opened up the doors to so many. It would have splintered into so many possibilities.
And what's important to really talk about right now is the effect of that to the public, the general public, and how that will actually affect those running for the midterm elections. There have been a number of also surveys that have already come out, no? Malilito na nga tayo sa dami.
Ang dami.
Pero iisa-isahin natin yan. But first, let's bring in to the discussion Father Ranhilio Aquino. He joins us via Zoom. Father Aquino, good evening to you. This is Pinky.
Hi, good evening, Pinky.
Opo. Father, let me just get first your reaction as well. I asked Alan about the recent events, rather, from the arrest of the former president to him now being detained at the ICC. By the ICC?
Well, as somebody who has always advocated accountability on the part of public officers, I think that this is a welcome development, and more welcome also is the fact that the mechanisms of international law are at work. Many times international law is criticized for being ineffectual, but here we see that for international law to be effective, domestic operators or domestic cooperation is essential.
Which also comes into question, Father Aquino, because of the various possible pleadings, some already with the Supreme Court and even with the defense, that petitions that can be filed before the ICC prior to the next appearance of the former president on September 23 for the confirmation of charges. Just maybe quickly, that it is illegal, that the former president was kidnapped, that he should have been presented to a judicial authority under Article 59 of the Rome Statute. Maybe just a quick rundown on those, the defense, the camp of the former president using these reasonings as possible, they can file rather before the Supreme Court or even the ICC. Sir, go ahead.
You know, Pinky, under the statute, under the Rome Statute, when a defendant or when a suspect at this stage, he is still only a suspect. When a suspect challenges the jurisdiction of the court, or what is known as the admissibility of the case before the court, the defendant can always make this challenge even now. I think they have already challenged that. He can again reiterate the challenge at the confirmation proceedings are scheduled to take place late September, and the International Criminal Court will rule on admissibility, as it has already issued a prior ruling on admissibility, but it is always open to him on other grounds to challenge the admissibility of the case. But let me just say this, Pinky. Our own Supreme Court has made it very clear that in respect to crimes that were committed or alleged to have been committed at the time the Philippines was still a party to the Rome Statute, there can be no doubt, according to the Supreme Court of the Philippines, that the ICC has jurisdiction.
Basically, okay. Go ahead, Father.
Yes. Let me also point this out. If the court, if the Supreme Court, by the way, it should not be forgotten that shortly after the former president and his party received notice of the warrant of arrest, immediately a petition for certiorari was filed with the Supreme Court with a prayer for a temporary restraining order and a prayer for a writ of preliminary injunction. Now, Pinky, this is significant. Why? Because had the court discerned that there were some essential and vital rights that were being transgressed, the court would have speedily granted the temporary restraining order, because a TRO is granted ex parte, meaning the court does not have to listen to the other party. It merely has to content itself with the knowledge that the requisites are there, meaning that there is a right that stands in need of urgent protection. But the court not only denied the petition for a TRO, it reiterated its denial in a subsequent order, thus indicating that it did not find that there was any right that was in immediate danger of being transgressed.
There is, of course, still those two other petitions before the Supreme Court. The first one, the petition for certiorari with a prayer for a TRO. And then the second and third one are the petition for habeas corpus. Just maybe just one last question regarding the petitions filed before the Supreme Court. Father Aquino, can the Supreme Court order or tell the ICC to bring back the former president here in the country?
Our Supreme Court, unfortunately, has no ascendancy over the International Criminal Court. It has no power to command the International Criminal Court to return President Duterte to the Philippines. The only thing that the Supreme Court can do is to determine the legality of the arrest, the legality of the surrender of the former president to the ICC. And even in that, or even on that point, Pinky, I think that the Supreme Court will find that there has been no illegality committed.
We're going to take a very short break with the President and CEO of Agents International, Alan Herman, and San Beda University's Dean of Graduate School of Law, Father Ranhilio Aquino. Stay tuned. This is On Point.
Para sa pag-uswag kan mga Bicolano, kaipuhan ibalik ang Bicol Express. Kaipuhan na sing tibay, sing rikas ng bullet train gikat sa Japan. Bullet train para sa Bicol, ang programa kan Bicol Saro na mataong kagmahan sa pamilyang Bicolano. Kafuerting proyekto kan Bicol Saro para sa pinakamarikas na Bicol Express. Bicol to Quezon in just 1 hour.
Bicol to Manila in just 3 hours. Bicol Saro, ang party list na magtataon nin progreso para sa mga Bicolano.
You know, I want to now talk about the journey to that big kiss.
It was spontaneous.
Exactly.
The
It
kiss
was-
or the wedding?
You not only epitomize young love and love that has actually is boundless. Oh, you asked permission first
That's what
to
she
court.
asked.
Yes, remember
Before
you
the first
said.
date. He actually canceled on me on Valentine's.
I'm getting kilig. You know what it is?
Welcome back. You're watching On Point. Still with us, the President and CEO of Agents International, Alan Herman, and San Beda University's Dean of Graduate School of Law, Father Ranhilio Aquino. I'm going to go back to Alan. We were discussing about these surveys that have
Yes.
come out. So there's an SWS, a Pulse Asia, and even an Okta.
Okta,
Let's
yeah.
start with the one of Pulse Asia. This was done February 20 to 26, basically about 2 weeks since the impeachment
Yes.
of Vice President Sara Duterte. Just to put some context into this, you have the President Marcos's performance ratings going down from 51% to 42%. Ang laki nun,
Laki,
9%.
ang laki, yes.
And then ilagay na rin natin yung trust rating niya down from 49 to 42%.
Right.
Does the performance and trust, and trust rating have anything to do with the impeachment of the Vice President 2 weeks before the respondents were asked?
I would say most assuredly. In fact, if you see the complete document, that pulse survey, there's actually another section of that survey which discusses, are you pro or against Congress impeaching VP Inday Sara? And the numbers do show that many of the respondents, during that time, again, the survey is a snapshot in time, just for the typical disclaimer, during that snapshot in time, the Filipinos were actually very much against the impeachment. Now, it's we look at four things: awareness, trust, satisfaction, and performance, intertwined. Preference. Awareness, trust, satisfaction, and preference. So ultimately, you go through the three before you go to the fourth, which is you prefer or you will vote for.
Yeah.
So something as polarizing as the impeachment definitely will weigh in to the perception of people, in as much as bakit yan yung inaatupag? Bakit hindi, that's that sensibility.
Bakit hindi yung
the
basic na
anchor
problema
of, yes,
na
the
kinakaharap
gut
ng publiko?
anchor, so to speak, what we call the gut anchor. Bakit yung inaatupag is yung impeachment, yung what they view to be, the respondents may view to be as a persecution of their political opponents. I'm not saying it is, but yon, imbis na yung presyo ng bilihin, yung gutom, yung pagtaas ng gasolina, mahirap ang kuryente, underdeveloped, farm-to-market roads, etc.
Okay. Father Aquino, may I get your 2 cents worth on that? What do you think could have been the reason for the lower trust and performance ratings of President Bongbong Marcos?
Well, Pinky, in the first place, it is very common that presidents and high government officials decrease in their trust rating and performance rating over time. Well, another possible reason, I fully agree with your other guest. I think he's doing a very splendid analysis. But another possible reason is that there might also be gaps in the way the government's messaging system is. In other words, it may be able to get its message across. For example, it may not be able to show what the government is doing. And let's not discount the fact that we usually are, as a people, have the tendency to side with the underdog. So whenever we see that somebody is being prosecuted or that he has been surrendered, the sympathy always goes to the underdog. So those might be some reasons that explain this decrease in trust rating. But I think, Pinky, it's also as important for our people to realize that vital and significant as polls may be, we cannot run government on the basis of popularity. Ours has to be a rules-based society and a rules-based international legal order.
If we talk about underdog here, the other surveys will also show, Alan and Father Rani, these. In the senatorial race of Pulse Asia, dated Feb 20 to 26, the same one as the performance and trust rating of the President and the Vice President, the big winner here, which to me was a first in a number of surveys I've seen,
Right.
was Bongo.
Bongo, number one. He shot up to number one.
Bigla siyang tumaas.
I would even say the bigger winner is Senator Bato.
Yeah, because from at 12
clinging
to 14,
from the hair of his chinny chin chin, he shot up, nag 4 to 7. Yeah.
So what happened here? Do you agree with Father Aquino that there is that underdog mentality and sympathy went to them?
Well-
and mind you, wala pa po dito yung pag-aresto kay
Yun,
dating Pangulong
yun.
Rodrigo Duterte.
Kaya
This is just impeachment. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'll probably be back here on this seat when that survey comes out now. But definitely Father Aquino, and I'm like an audience plant here, is on point. Father Aquino is definitely on point. Very, very. In fact, I love it. The international term, at least in my practice, is staleness or stickiness. But if you translate that to Filipino, the term that best captures it is sawa. Ang Pilipino madali magsawa. So after a while, nauumay. So after a while, as Father Aquino pointed out, our leaders who are nakapwesto, meron tayong change partiality. Nagsasawa na tayo, so over time the trust, the satisfaction, really declines over time.
Very quickly, maybe a reaction from Father Aquino. Also with that, the senatorial survey, that one where the big winner was Bongo, who's normally places 2 or 3, shot up to number 1, and Senator Bato de la Rosa, who was normally nasa 12, 13, 14 siya. Lagay na natin 10 to 14, shot up to 4 to 7 if I'm not mistaken. Father Aquino, go ahead.
Fully agree, no? Fully agree. Alan is quite right. Plus, it is a fact that the Duterte camp and the people associated with him, there is no denying that Bongo and Bato de la Rosa are associated with Duterte. The Duterte has been very active in mastering popular support. They have developed this expertise at mobilizing popular sympathy. I don't know how widely that goes and how successful they will be in other areas. But, even the fact, Pink, that so many fake posts have been discovered and so many fact checkers have been able to identify falsified announcements or falsified posts or falsified boasts. All of this shows that they have a well-oiled machinery for mastering popular support.
What are your expectations, Father Aquino, after the arrest of the former president in terms of the political scene? I mean, are you looking at a possible change in alliances?
Well, for some time, we will expect some degree of discomfiture. It will be uncomfortable. There will be protests here and there, but do I see the government being threatened? I don't think so, because let's not forget, the victims of the deadly war on drugs have many supporters as well, and many cause-oriented groups are rallying to the side of the victims of the war on drugs. So yes, there will be divisions. People will be divided in respect to their sympathies. But I wouldn't count on this being a long-term guarantee of popularity. In fact, the very prospect of a drawn-out trial before the ICC holds out the possibility that soon people will look for other interesting things to be worried about.
I think that's what Alan was saying a while ago,
Yes.
merong pong sawa factor. Just very quickly, Father Aquino, before I say goodbye to you, just your reaction on the Solgen recusing itself from that petition before the Supreme Court on the habeas corpus, the 2 petitions on the habeas corpus by the Duterte camp.
Even before Senator De Lima posted her reaction, I posted mine on Facebook, and I said, given the fact that the Administrative Code of 1987 makes the Solicitor General, compels the Solicitor General to be lawyer of the Republic of the Philippines, and in this case, it is the government itself that is sued in the habeas corpus proceedings, I think it's only proper that the Solicitor General should resign his position. He does not believe that the ICC's jurisdiction does not entitle him to maintain a position while he is Solicitor General different from a determination of the competent authority of the government of the Philippines. So I don't think it's compatible for him to remain a Solicitor General and at the same time say, I can't agree with the government.
Father Ranhilio Aquino, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Pinky, for having me too. And
Thank you.
Alan, yes, Alan.
Thank you, Father Rani.
Just one more question, kay Alan. Alan, you think there could be some political
Upheavals.
or changes?
Well, we call that a suction effect. No? The best visual there is if you throw a heavy object or a bowling ball, for example, on a blanket, diba? It sucks in other things. There's that recess, diba? Dumidikit. So when you take away a populist figure like President Duterte former President Duterte, away from the political scene, there's that tendency to have that suction effect. There will be a consolidation. But how long will it last? Alam mo, magaling din yung timing na nangyari dito for the admin. Holy Week is coming up, the summer heat is beating down. There's social media, the big game changer. Before, during your time, Pinky, not my time, but well, fine, our time. Di ba, when we feel indignation, we will go out in the street and we will shout it out. There was no other way to gather en masse and to be with like-minded
And to
people.
air your sentiments.
To air your sentiment. Now, magpo-post ka lang ng angry post, sasali ka lang sa group, manunood ka ng Facebook Live, you've already gotten it out of your system. So it's so hard to mobilize warm
But
bodies
you're not
now.
expecting any changes in political alliances?
In terms of political alliances per se, no, the runway is too short. But in terms of political pronouncements, nakikita na natin. The Villars have spoken out. Di ba? The Villars have spoken out. Nag-double down na sila. They took a side. The administration senatorial slate is avoiding certain areas. Hindi muna sila pumupunta ng Mindanao. So, may mga ganyan movements.
Alan Herman, thank you also for your time.
Always a pleasure, Pinky.
I'm sure we'll have you again. Maraming salamat. That's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.